Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, honorable guests. And Katie, congratulations organizing this event. And thanks for having me here today. So before I start to introduce Dr. Fermi Wang, I'd like to say that my first trip to the Bay Area was in 1996. And since then, I have been here many times for doing interviews with these heavyweight industry leaders like Andy Grove from Intel and Scott McLeany from Sun Microsystems, Larry Ellison from Oracle, and this gentleman happened to be the richest man on earth 2 weeks ago for 3 days. Okay, and also Jerry Yang from Yahoo, and Jensen Huang. You know who he is, right? Okay, and basically the Hall of Fame list, and that list can go on. So today I'm very honored to have the chance to talk to the future Hall of Famer, Dr. Fermi Wang. Okay, so Fermi got his bachelor degree from National Taiwan University in EE, and later got his doctorate degree in University of Columbia, also in EE. Okay, and then to the Bay Area and become a serial entrepreneur. So first question for Fermi is that would you walk us through the journey from Columbia to Bay Area, briefly?
Yeah. So I was in Columbia from '87 to '91. At that time, most of the PhD student graduate will go to a research lab like IBM and AT&T. And I was going there too, but in a summer that I came here and visit some friends, that's my first trip to Silicon Valley. And very quickly, I found out that I love this environment because it's entrepreneur, and it's really about innovation. It's about energy. It's something that I didn't experience when I worked as a summer intern at IBM Research Lab. So just for that one reason, I decided at the end, after I graduated from Columbia, I think Silicon Valley is a much better place for me.
You basically follow the path of Dr. William Shockley, because he was an AT&T researcher and basically invented the transistor in 1947 and returned his hometown, the Bay Area, and everything else has just followed. So our topic today is from risk to vision, right? Mm-hmm. And we had a con call a week before, discuss about the outline of the content we're going to talk about. And Fermi basically explicitly expressed that he wanted to talk more about the risk part, because most people will pay attention to success stories. But most of those stories are sugar-coated. I know that because I've done some of them as a rookie journalist before. But what matters most is that the lessons, the failure, the challenge during the process of starting up companies. So follow that risk part. I'd like to ask that because you started a company, Afara, in I think late 1990
right.
or early 2000, right?
Yes.
And it was a multi-core CPU system company,
correct.
Right?
Yes.
Supposed to be prosperous, but turned out to be acquired by Sun Microsystems. Unwillingly. So how did that happen?
Well, we started the company in 1999 before the internet burst, right? And the internet bubble happened. But at that time, internet just started. There's a hype, just cycle, just like what we are seeing AI today, right? So at the hype cycle, my partner and I started a company called Afara Web System, and we tried to build a brand new CPU system, multi-core, multi-thread CPU, to target at the web services. And that was a great concept, and I think most of the CPU today follow that kind of design methodology. But what happened is really that after the bubble burst, the funding on the Silicon Valley only started dwindling down very quickly. Then 2001, on the day of 9/11, by the way, on the day of 9/11, I went to a funding trip to New York City. My flight landed at JFK at 9:30 in the morning. And everybody knows what happened on that day. And we were that's the first time I saw airport got shut down. So after 9/11, of course, there's a lot of a sad story on that day, but for the entrepreneur in that period of time, after that day, there was no funding whatsoever for 2 years of time. And what happened to Afara was, we didn't raise enough funding, and we ran out of cash very quickly. At that time, can you imagine, we hired 100 CPU designers from Intel AMD to do this project. and with a great technology, but the only thing we can do is at that point to sell the company to Sun Microsystem.
Yeah, we didn't stage this, but on 9/11 that day, I was supposed to fly from Toronto to New York, so and on the connecting flight to Seattle, and later on the next day we're supposed to interview Jeff Bezos, but when I checked out of the hotel in Toronto, just saw the TV and found the news, so everything just shut down. So it's just like saying that what didn't kill you just make you stronger, right? So what were the lessons learned from that experience and help you with the next startup?
I think, there's a cliche that says that the money is a king, right? In this particular case, money is the one that killed Alfara at the end because we just didn't have enough money at that time. Had we raised a little bit more, I should not say a little bit more, just enough to pass through that 2 years difficult time, Alfara might become a very successful technology company. So when I started Ambarella and I determined that I will not make the same mistake again, the only way to do it is you do two things. One is you raise as much you can, regardless of the valuation. The second thing is you have to build a product which can generate revenue as soon as possible. Those two things are the two things that we did at Alfara really keep us running for the last 21 years.
So Ambarella was founded in like
2004.
2004. So the idea to save enough cash as possible help you survive the 2009 financial crisis, right?
Correct.
So how bad was that for your peers at that time?
Well, because that I did 3 rounds of financing in the first 18 months of Ambarella. Let's just tell you how much I want to make sure that I won't be killed by money, short of money again. But at the same time, we built the first product aiming at certain market that we can start making profit. And in 2008, not only we have plenty of cash in the bank, but more importantly, we are generating real revenue at that time. So in 2008, when a lot of people, I don't know where people remember what happened in the financial crisis in 2008, 2009. A lot of people not only cannot grow, but they have to lay off people. And at that time, Ambarella, in fact, take that chance to grow a lot, not only just by hiring a lot of people, but we can invest heavily on that time and really establish the products and the family that we can use for the IPO in 2012.
So the first lessons learned is that you need to prepare for the winter time, even you are now in the spring or summertime, right?
Yes.
So.
But in fact, the important thing is, even for the last 10 years, for people who start a company, it's very easy to do fundraising until just 2 years ago. And I think that's applied to everybody here. If you are doing a startup company today, you'll experience that the funding definitely slowed down a little bit. But I really worry for the worst, because if the AI went through the same cycle of internet, that you have a huge hype cycle and countdown crash, then you'll regroup from there. We haven't seen a crash of the AI yet. I'm not saying it will happen, but had that happened, you will create a cash shortage on the investment. So I think that everybody should think about that possibility and do something to prepare for it.
Especially for startups, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Well, even for a public company, you probably have to do similar things too.
Right. And the second lesson is that, or the second challenge, I should say, that is in 2018, there is a trade war between China and U.S. That's how the war started, and there's an entity list issued by the U.S. government. So how bad does it impact your business back then?
It's hard. It's even hard to talk about this at the point, because at that time, Ambarella did the video product. In fact, in the security cameras, in a lot of consumer cameras, like GoPro type sports or drones kind of type product. In 2018, 3 of our largest customers, Hikvision and Dahua in China, which are the 2 largest security camera companies worldwide. And the third customer for us was DJI, which is the largest drone company. And all 3 of them were put on the entity list in 2018. And 3 of them represent that 45% of total revenue of that year.
So 45% revenue just vaporized overnight.
Yes. Well, not immediately overnight, but all our investor knows what that means. And that's really create a huge problem. As a public company, when you invest, lose confidence on your revenue generation streams. And also internally, we need to face the fact that we cannot count on the revenue in the next few years. What should we do? That was the huge challenge at that time.
Okay. So how did you respond to that?
Well, in fact, maybe a little history. We started working on our edge AI solution in 2013-14. And 2018 is the time we ramp up our, we call second generation AI, edge AI platform. That's the time we just ramp up. We haven't generated much revenue for our second generation AI. But that's also the time I need to make a decision whether we invest on the third generation. What's the difference between second and third generation? Today, I think everybody understands that, Gen AI is the key, but in 2018, nobody talked about Gen AI. But however, the fundamental technology called transformer type of neural network was published and it became popular. And we believe at Ambarella time, 2018, we believe this is a technology we have to invest in making sure our third generation processor can support it properly. So in 2018, while we knew that we're going to have a revenue problem, at the same time, we need to make a decision whether we need to build a technology for the next generation, which happened at the same time. But we decided at that time, painfully, is although we know that we're going to lose, our revenue going to decrease, but the only way out is to build a brand new technology to establish a new customer base. And although it's painful, I got my board to support me to invest heavily. From the 2014 to 2022 or 2024 today, accumulatively we already invest more than 1.2 billion. Ambarella is a small company, $1.2 billion on the investment. The CV3 by the third generation of AI processor is a big portion of that. So our solution at that time facing that is we understand the only way out is not trying to stop investment. In fact, we decide to invest a brand new direction, which we think is important for us to grow in the future. And fortunately, we survived that crisis. And today, our earnings call just last quarter, we announced our record high revenue this quarter.
So Ambarella, as I recall, that is a $4 billion market cap company, right? Equal to 4 unicorns. So it's not small, but I mean it's moderate size for. So back then, you made the decision to invest and persuade your board to support you. So at that time, how did you get enough talents to do something different? Because making that kind of switch is not easy.
Yeah. So talent is probably the next to money, the most important thing for any startup company or for public companies. I think that the one thing that Ambarella did well is really we keep our core team and continue to grow with the core team throughout the years. And I think that keep the team together, particularly the team that you think is critical for the success of the company, is the most important thing for the management. So what we did, I think there are 3 things really keep people working in the company. The number one is has to be compensation, right? In this, we are talking about Silicon Valley here. Your compensation has to be comparable. You don't have to be the best, but you have to be comparable. But the second thing is really, I think in Silicon Valley, when engineers come to Silicon Valley, they want to work on challenging projects. They want to work on projects that can define a generation, right? So when most of our, and that's another reason we decide to continue to work on third generation AI at the most difficult time, because we knew that if we stop investing on the direction, most engineers probably will bail out. So technology, really asking them to work on most challenging and industry-defined project, I think that's the second thing. But I think the third thing for me is really culture. I hate people play politics in a company. I'm not saying that there's no politics in Ambarella, but we definitely trying to encourage collaboration, encouraging healthy debate, encourage the respect, mutual respect between employees. And when people fail to deliver that, they will get warning and probably get more severe penalized. I think that maintaining the culture that people feel comfortable working in the company, that's another thing people want to work for you because, I think all of you have a different experience on the different companies, trying to maintain a culture that people every day when they wake up say, I'm happy to come to work. I think it's another thing.
But it sounds pretty abstract. I know it's important to get the office politics, away, but can you give us some examples how to do it with that to maintain the culture?
Right. First of all, politics is about person, right? You have to establish as a role model that, anybody come to you to start gossiping and anything, you stop it immediately. Or people start doing that, you monitor that, you give them warning and you let them go if they don't improve. You have to set some examples and you have to take some difficult decisions at a given time. So when people start seeing that, and in fact, most engineers want to work in a environment which is really collaboration instead of competing. And when you set up that example, when you identify people who are against those policies and trying to take action early, I think that will definitely help to define that culture.
Okay. And the third challenge for you during your entrepreneurial career is the generative AI, starting November 30th, 2022. So although you mentioned earlier that you pay attention to the attention is all you need, that thesis published in 2017, but still when OpenAI ChatGPT came out, it's pretty disruptive for most companies. So how did you respond to that?
It was a shock to me. In fact, I still remember that the Christmas of 2022, the Gen AI came out. I spent a few nights playing with it, and then I came to a conclusion very quickly, this is a game changer. And then, but I didn't realize how fast it will change, it will challenge Ambarella. And very quickly we understand that although that Gen AI is in the cloud, but we understand it will come to our business and in a very fast and very strong way. And we try to trying to defend ourselves. But luckily, like I said, our third generation AI, when we started in 2018, are transformer based. And what that means is we are ready on the technology side, how to deal with the challenge. But on the business side, that's where it becomes very difficult because Gen AI changed how the business works, how our customers, existing and new customer, how they engage with technology. So in the last few years, we're definitely trying to regroup our go-to-market team and also redefine our silicon products to serve Gen AI better, but and decide to focus on Edge AI as a differentiation, and that's definitely the way we approach to solve this problem.
Okay, and over the past 3 years, the boom started by the generative AI, and up to today, most emphasis is on the cloud side. Mm. So I'd like to get your views on, what about the edge side?
Yeah.
So is it going to take off? Is it going to,
First of all, I think it's natural to start cloud because you have to develop the language models, right? And that has to be on the cloud. And the 99% investment goes to cloud today. But however, I'm a true believer that Edge AI will happen. There's multiple reasons for it to happen. First of all, there are applications that require, real-time processing. Latency matters. And for those kind of things, you cannot transfer a signal to cloud and let the control signal come back to control the device. For those kind of applications, you have to use Edge AI, and autonomous driving is the biggest and probably most obvious example. The second thing is cost. If you have to transfer a lot of data from the edge, because data is always collect at edge, if you have to transfer a lot of data real time to the cloud, and the transmitting costs and the storage costs will be huge. And if you can do the Edge AI to minimize costs, that definitely reduce the TCOs of any product, and that's another reason people do it. But the third reason is as important, which is privacy. A lot of companies realize that Gen AI is so important for them, and data is the one driving all of is probably most important asset in Gen AI's domain. They don't want to share the data with the cloud. So a lot of things that proprietary different corporations, those applications will stay at the edge in on-prem servers or on-prem or edge device processing and doing training and the inference for those applications. So I think those three things, the real time, the cost, and the privacy will drive applications for the edge AI.
And Fermi, suppose we have a crystal ball right now on stage, and we can see through it to 2030. Can you give us a rough number through this crystal ball about the overall AI market? What's the percentage for the cloud AI and the percentage for edge AI?
Well, I think eventually, I think cloud AI and edge AI is equally important.
Like 50-50?
I think so. Everybody talk about robots, and I'm true believer in robots. In fact, I'll make an argument that autonomous driving cars and the autonomous flying drones, two most important applications, they are just one special kind of robots, right? Based on that definition, in the future, you're going to start seeing more and more moving robots that's helping not only on the commercial production, home, and things. So I truly believe that in the future, we're going to see more and more robots playing around us, and the enabled technology will be edge AI plus Gen AI software.
So in a way that I agree with you that drones are like robots with wings, right? So the autonomous cars are like robots with wheels.
Right.
And robots are, just robots without wings and wheels. So basically, these three fit in the same category with edge AI. So, but from today, 2025 to 2030, are there some, path of progress that you can outline for us how this will go? From today, edge AI only a very minor share of the total AI market to 50%, in 2030. So what about the path?
I think there are multiple. First of all, I think that for any robot become powerful enough and also, doing enough job, the internal software has to be, redefined. It cannot be using heuristic or just easy computer vision. In my mind, at the end, any robot is controlled by an end-to-end AI model, meaning that you input from the sensors to an AI model, and the output of the AI model control the robot. This is what Tesla doing for their car and their robots, but I think that's what needs to happen. But think about it, to run such a big AI model, to train that big AI model is already challenging now because you collect a lot of data. But to run that model on an edge device, you don't have an NVIDIA GPU in a plug-in to the power and using liquid cooling anymore. You have to use a chip that has to be, cooling down by the, passive cooling. And that really put a huge challenges on what kind of a silicon architecture you can provide that can minimize the power requirement for this kind of things. In fact, the latest robot competition happening in China gave you the best example. Somebody tried to get a robot to run the marathon. And every 1.5 kilometers, they need to change batteries. That's how far we are from really working robots for our daily life.
And in this race to compete for the edge AI, for this kind of product, whether it's drones, it's robots, it's autonomous cars, you need chips, you need components, systems, and software, right? But today it seems it's kind of chaos because system company also do the chips, like like Tesla, and chip company also do systems like NVIDIA, and software company like Microsoft or like Google, they also do chips and systems. So it's like right now it's quite mixed. So who's going to take the lead? I know this is a kind of dumb and very broad question, but still like to get from expert like you.
Well, I think that at the end it's really who can define the most efficient solution. Right? And of course that the system company define chip, they always have a market for themselves. Google's TPUs in using the Google Cloud, that by definition is that, but whether anybody else will use Google TPU in any other product line, that's a question mark. So I think that makes sense for system company. So I think if we do believe robots will be the largest market for the edge AI in the future, I still believe that there will be certain semiconductor companies providing different solutions from the processor point of view, from the power PMIC point of view, from the system integration point of view, from the interconnection point of view, they will be discrete that providing by a traditional semiconductor company, and we try to be that one of them that providing the most efficient processor for this market.
Yeah, there used to be a fine line between among this system company, chip company, and software company, but it's getting blurred. Right?
Yes.
So what about Ambarella?
Well, NVIDIA was a semiconductor company until 3 years ago. You can only start talking about
now
that when
you position it as an AI company.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that for me at this point, the only meaningful thing we can do is focus on providing a silicon solution. But it's not only silicon solution; we have to provide a reference design. Basically, we are not trying to sell a product to our customer or end product. We are trying to show people how you can run a most efficient large language model on our silicon to achieve the goals you want to achieve. So we are not just a semiconductor company anymore. We are a system company. We don't sell system. We try to help our customer to get to the market faster and easier. So that's how we define our company moving forward.
And I think that presents a fourth challenge in the industry you're in, that to do so, you need talents,
yes,
right? And there is a strong competition for talents, especially in the Bay Area. So how do you deal with that kind of competition for talents to do all these things together?
Right. So, I talk about how to keep talent, but if you want to acquire talents, you have to go somewhere else. And, in fact, in Taiwan, I have close to 400 employees that we hired many years ago, and we continue to grow there, but that become as competitive as Silicon Valley. And also, you have to go dive different areas. For example, for our autonomous driving car, we acquired a team in Italy. Everybody knows that Europe is crazy about cars, and that's where a lot of automotive industry started. And we acquired a autonomous driving software team in Italy at a city called Parma. If you don't know what Parma is, but you probably heard about Parmesan cheese. That's where we found a great software team and acquired. So you have to do extra work to look for talents globally.
Because you love cheese?
Well,
that's just kidding. Okay, but setting up an office in Taiwan to recruit local talents, you used to compete with TSMC and MediaTek and Google Taiwan. But in the future, since NVIDIA is going to have a research center and AMD as well, so the competition also gets
that's right.
Yeah, a lot tougher.
So for me, Taiwan is just another Silicon Valley now, right? The competition will be severe. The good thing for us, we already established a big team, and we need my goal is, of course, to continue to expand in Taiwan, but keeping that good people around us with what I just said is important. And some of them already work for us for 10, 15 years, and we need to continue to keep that core team. So that's definitely one thing. But the expansion, Taiwan is not a good place to expand the team anymore, because we all know with 23 million people there, and the number of college graduate slowdowns. I think that for me, trying to find a place like a Parma that we can continue to grow our engineering talent is important for us.
Okay, so we need to find a third place to
Yes.
supply the talents. But Taiwan and Silicon Valley work together, especially regarding the talent pool. Is it possible to do the reverse way, to recruit talents from Silicon Valley to work back in Taiwan?
Absolutely. However, I have to say that there are definitely people thinking about moving back. In fact, when we started the company, we moved several of our key managers from Silicon Valley back to Taiwan. In fact, they help us to build a team. But I think there are a few things we need to address in Taiwan, and I have been saying that to the Taiwan industry. One is definitely our visa systems. Our immigration system is not as friendly as Silicon Valley. I think that's definitely something. If Taiwan wants to become Silicon Valley, our immigration system need to become more modernized and more open. And unfortunately, at the same time, we need to worry about our competition with Chinese. But there's definitely we need to have a way to balance this too. Because if you want to get a global talent into Taiwan, that immigration system need to be addressed.
Okay, my last question for Fermi is that we're now in the AI era. So everybody experienced the AI change like 10 times faster than before. So how to make sure that we can keep up with the pace without burn down?
Well, That's why, you know, sometimes I feel when I come to particularly for this event, I feel quite old because although I still like innovation and technology, that what you say is absolutely true. You know, when I talk to my son who's just 2 years out of college, right, the technology from the day he joined college to the day that today is 2 different worlds, right? That's how fast things change. And I really feel sympathy for those students are going through the transition in a school because it's very difficult. But I think one thing I told my son is go back to the fundamentals, right? Science, physics, math, they don't change. They'll get better, but they won't change. But just give you example, for example, just 5 years ago, if you get a programmer degree, computer science degree from any college, there's guarantee you find a good job. That guarantee disappeared. Programmer job is not guaranteed anymore. But so I really think, but however, the learning from the education, critical thinking, the fundamental training will never disappear. And I encourage people to start working on that.
So go back to the basics.
That's right.
So don't worry about that, Fermi, because Morris Chang retired at the age of 88, so you still have a long career ahead of you. Okay. So thank you, Fermi, and for the great sharing. So ladies and gentlemen, let's give Fermi a big round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you.